Welcome to the Practiceology 7 Questions in 7 Minutes podcast. I'm your host, Paul Wright. In this podcast, we share the secrets of elite allied health business ownership and teach you the strategies, tactics, and mindset needed to grow a highly profitable and successful allied health business that works without you. If you'd like to work directly with the Practiceology team and receive personal coaching and mentoring to help you earn more, work less, and enjoy your life as a health business owner, visit mypracticeology.com to find out more and apply. All right, the next episode of the Practiceology podcast. And Paul Hedges, I've circled around Paul Hedges, I reckon, for nearly 10 years now, and finally got him on the podcast. Mate, thanks for joining us.
My absolute pleasure, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Now, you're in trouble already because Nick Schuster sends me a message, said you need to talk to Paul Hedges. And straight away, I was very wary, but I'm not sure if I should be doing this at all. But, mate, you've agreed to come on. So, mate, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's do the formal introduction. Paul is an experienced management consultant and certified trainer, underpinned by 25 plus years of business experience. He's held several senior management roles, including State Director of Optus Business, Regional Manager for AAPT, State Manager for Dimensions Data. In addition to running a successful physio practice, which is Physio Pilates Proactive with his wife, Rachel, he's founded Wright Clinic to provide independent assessments of allied health clinics using unique industry benchmarks, which I just love when I saw it. He's a graduate certified in business and a fellow of the Australian Institute of Management, and is the creator of the one-day MBA, which I just loved as well for health professionals. And he's going to talk a bit about that today in the podcast. But can he get it all done in 7 minutes?
Well, that's the challenge. Let's see.
Right. Well, that's the challenge I throw into all of my guests, Paul. But let's see how we go. You ready to go? The time is about to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Mate, you're away. But who's the ideal attendee for the one-day MBA? Because I love it.
Well, that's great, Paul. Look, it's aimed fairly and squarely and solely, in fact, at allied health clinic owners, and that's one of the things that makes it really different. I, as you mentioned in the introduction, am an allied health clinic owner. So that is the target. One of the things when I first got involved in running an allied health clinic, I was frustrated by the lack of information specifically for allied health clinic owners. So the goal with the one-day MBA is to provide that, use expert speakers to provide targeted information for allied health clinic owners, give them stuff that's relevant and save them a lot of time trawling through stuff that isn't. So anyone that runs their own clinic and is interested in learning. That's the simple definition, I think, as to who's best suited.
So question 2, with about a minute left, what's the problem you're solving for these poor owners, Paul, and team members?
I'm making it easy to get really valuable information that's practical, that they can put in place right after the day. In fact, during the day, they'll start working on making some changes to their clinic. So I'm solving that problem because otherwise people just end up going down all sorts of rabbit holes on YouTube and Google finding information that they need.
So I love that targeted learning. They're just getting it in one place. So question 3. So what are the symptoms you've seen, Paul, from owners when they haven't got that targeted learning approach? What do they suffer from?
I think sometimes they suffer from analysis paralysis, and health clinic owners by their very nature, they love research and they love finding out information. But if it's information overload and it's not relevant information, that's a problem. And it's also just finding the right sources of information. Now, obviously, you're a major source of information for them, but they can often get lost going down, as I mentioned before, these different rabbit holes without finding what's relevant to them. So I think that's the problem. And the other thing probably to add to it is they don't know what they don't know. And I think that's a big part of it. And then, they get exposed to it and they realize. So, yeah.
So question 4. So what are the mistakes you've seen? Because you've done these events around the country leading into this. What are some of the mistakes you've seen owners make when they're trying to solve this before coming to the events? What have they done wrong?
Look, I think it's that I think their approach is way too multi-pronged, if you like, to learning, and they're trying all sorts of different things that just don't give them that target and a practical approach. I think, or it's not putting time into becoming a better owner. I think that's the other thing I see a bit of, and no doubt you do as well, where they've just got to invest a bit more time in becoming a business owner. One of the things I've heard from a lot of them is, it doesn't come naturally to me. I understand that, but you've got to put a bit of time and effort into just improving what you do.
And you'd see it as well. We've seen, because they know they've got to study so long to be a health professional, sometimes if they haven't studied a long time to do marketing or recruitment, they don't think they're qualified to do it. But
yeah, exactly.
They're doing it every day. They've got to get
That's right. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Question 5, about 3 minutes left. So what can they do? What's a free action, whether they come or not? What can they do now to get this sort of solved?
Look, one thing is that I would suggest they acquaint themselves with what Net Promoter Score is. And this is something that I can tell you from experience, because we've assessed so many clinics now around the country, is the vast majority of clinic owners don't know what their entire Net Promoter Score is. Some of them, what they do as part of an onboarding process is measure that, but that's a point in time measurement's completely different to going out to your entire client database and finding out what your Net Promoter Score is. And more importantly, I think, is what does good look like? And that's a different question, right? That's where the benchmarks come in. But at least understand what it is and how you can go about finding what your score is. That would be the main free action that I would suggest people follow.
And in 7 minutes, it's hard for us to fully explain the Net Promoter Score, but if you Google it, it'll come up, because everyone
absolutely. Wiki's got a great page on it, and that's as good a place as any to acquaint yourself with what it is. Exactly right.
And it's how likely are you to recommend us to your family and friends? This is the question across the board, and then it's scored. Very cool scoring system.
Yeah, exactly.
So question 6, tell me about the event. Tell me about where they find out about it. Where do they order?
Our next One Day MBA is on September 21st, Saturday, September 21st in Sydney. It is on Eventbrite, and I will post a link that people can go to find out more information and, of course, order their tickets. But otherwise, they'll be able to search One Day MBA on Eventbrite and find the event details.
Mm-hmm. And is there a code or something? What have we got?
There is. So if they use the code Paul50, that will give them an extra $50 off on top of the early bird pricing that is in place. If they act very quickly, that'll give them a total of $250 off for the day, which is exceptional value given that there are 5 very highly experienced speakers.
So they can go to Eventbrite, or search One Day MBA Paul Hedges on Eventbrite. They'll find your event. The code was Paul50, and they can get organised.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. About a minute to go, mate. What's the one question I should have asked you that would give great value to the audience today?
Is there anything else I can do to help people? Maybe,
Is there?
How about that?
Can you help people, Paul?
Well, I hope so. So one resource that I think is really valuable, because it's research-based, and all allied health clinic owners love research. So what we did is we undertook a research project saying what makes a high-performing clinic different to a low-performing clinic. What are the key learnings out of that, and what can you do about that in your own clinic? So what does the data say, and what can you do? So I've got a report on that, which I'm very happy to share for anyone that's interested, and they can just email me at paul.hedges, HEDGES, at ratemyclinic.com.au, and I will provide them with that report. So very happy to do that.
Okay. What was your email again?
Paul.hedges, HEDGES, at ratemyclinic.com.au.
I love it. I love the whole idea. The One Day MBA, I like it.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
I know you got some heat for the name too. Some high techie people would say you can't do an MBA in one day, but mate, well done.
Yeah.
I love it. Good on you.
Thank you. It's been very successful so far. We've had over 40 clinic owners go through it, and they've loved it.
Get into it, guys. Paul, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Pleasure. Thank you, Paul.
I'll see you all in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Practiceology 7 Questions in 7 Minutes podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate and leave a review, head over to iTunes. And if you'd like to increase your health business profits, reduce your personal work hours, and spend more time with your family and friends, you can find out more about the Practiceology Mentor Program at mypracticeology.com.